friends and fellow VEDSies, welcome back to VEDS. It's another handheld video, but only for a moment because I'm about to cut to a bit from the response video that I'm working on, where I talk about Tessa's challenge to talk about books that we have read this year. This was originally just going to be included in that response video, but it's pretty easy to cut out and make its own thing, and I am not going to get that response video done in time. So to just help myself out a little bit, I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to put it here for you to enjoy. You also challenged us to talk about what we were reading. I've been reading a lot of stuff this year, but probably the two things that have stuck out to me most, both of which were audiobooks that I listened to. One of which, though, I listened to, it was earlier this month, within a day. I was loving it that much. But it was this book called The Chosen that's about two kids who are growing up in separate Jewish communities in New York, who over time become friends, and as they grow up, just the complications and the depths of that friendship that form over time. And the title comes from this idea that you must do two things in life. You must find a teacher and you must choose a friend. It just reminds me of like my relationships with just two or three people who the situation was right and we both wordlessly kind of agreed that this friendship is going to matter. And those friendships are deep and they last and they feel different after a while. That's kind of what The Chosen reminded me of. And it gave me just a lot of gratitude for those people in my life who kind of fit that category. That's also the only narrative book that I've read or listened to this year. I tried reading Loki by Melvin Burgess, but it's just, I got so tired of it. I was like, I get the shtick of this book. I don't know, maybe I'll give it another shot. The other book that left a big impression on me was First We Make the Beast Beautiful, which is a book about anxiety. A lot of the stuff in there I didn't find very applicable, but the overall story, the stuff that the author is telling you about her own life, is really interesting, and that kind of helped me get to the stuff that I did find applicable, which has helped me with my anxiety. I do think it's been a helpful book in giving me a different understanding of it, a different language for it. It's also just giving me the space to kind of safely confront my anxiety. I've also been reading a lot of comics. If it's an X-Men book, I read it eventually. I might not read it month to month, but I do read it eventually. So I've been going through a lot of comics, as I'm sure it does not come as a surprise. And finally, I just got this book in yesterday. I've only read the introduction, but it's a book called Show Sold Separately. And it is a book about paratexts. So all that stuff that surrounds a text, all the merchandise, all the kind of the bonus media that comes from these big franchises. And just from the introduction and reading through what the chapter titles are going to be, it's interesting because this book came out in 2010. So before the superhero boom and before streaming and back when physical media mattered a little bit more. So it'll be interesting how some stuff is going to feel maybe a little outdated, or it will just feel kind of weird that there's this topic that's kind of absent. So far, at least, I think that the arguments it's making, the ideas it's presenting are strong enough that you can then go and it's well, it doesn't talk about streaming in here. Or at least it didn't say so in any of the chapter titles. But I can now take the analysis I learned from this and apply that to streaming. Although that being said, if I do get through and I like this, I hope that Jonathan Gray, the author, maybe comes out with a new edition that includes some of the modern stuff that he missed out on when he released this book. And there you have it. It's been edited. Now you're watching it. So let me know if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I've talking about. Oh, I'm great at words, aren't I? Any of the books that I talked about in this video. And tune in tomorrow for the full response video where I will be responding to James, Jeffrey, and Tessa. And until then, I will see you tomorrow.